enough at all. I can tell you that. We actually have another special guest. Her name is Miss Esther Selman. She's a dedicated nutrition professional with over 25 years. Hear that? 25 years of experience. She earned her Bachelor of Science degree with honors in dietetics from Oakwood University, Huntsville, Alabama, in 1995, followed by completion of the AP4 didactic, I hope I have that right, program accredited by the Accreditation Council for Education in Nutrition and Dietetics, which the acronym there is ACEND. In 1996, in 2001, she graduated with a master's in public health, specializing in health education and promotion from Loma Linda University, California. Now, it's a whole list of achievements and accolades here. It might take me the whole show, but we want obviously to get some thoughts about and views where nutrition is concerned, the foods we should eat, and what we should avoid, etc. Good night to you.
Good night, and thank you so much for having me to join your esteemed audience. It's indeed an honor to be here and to come and speak to you about nutrition. That is one of my passionate topics. I just want to begin with some statistics, and we all know that according to the Ministry of Health and Wellness, 65% of adult Barbadians were obese, 60% living with hypertension, and 20% living with diabetes. And I would have heard you mentioned about diabetes earlier when one of the panelists, he mentioned about going to Cuba and how Cuba helped him to get off his medication, and that is excellent. I believe that as a dietitian, more persons can live a good quality of life with diabetes. And I heard you mention about dialysis, clients on dialysis, and I have been successful in helping clients to get off their medication with diabetes, as well as to be able to manage their dialysis. Another statistic I just want to share with you, according to the Global Food Research Program, in Barbados, NCDs, and when they say NCDs, we all know that means non-communicable diseases, they account for 83% of all deaths, and this was in 2016 data. Then we know about the sugar drink tax that was implemented, which was initially 10%. And then in 2022, it went to 20%. And we also know of the National School Nutrition Policy Program, and this was to improve the school food environment for children. So having that background said, we all know that healthy eating is an essential component for us to have a good quality of life. So if it is that we are dealing with NCDs or with children who's growing, let's start with breast milk. We have young children who, when you're born, the first premier food is breast milk. And then as they grow, we want to ensure that they're getting those key nutrients, which would be our macronutrients and our micronutrients. And a lot of research has shown that we need to have a balance of macro and micronutrients so that we can get the ultimate nutrition that our body needs, so we can get our nutrients. In addition to that, there are certain food groups that we consume that will be able to provide the necessary foods to help for growth and development, as well as for managing disease and also for healthy eating.
Sorry, Esther. You mentioned a very interesting point there. Breast milk. That is extremely interesting. You mind just recapping that particular point, please?
Okay. I just wanted to say that breast milk is the superior nutrition for babies, infants, up to some person. The research says up to 6 months. Some person can breastfeed up to a year, I breastfed my son up to 2 years. And what is interesting is the when you breastfeed, all the antibodies, let's say for instance, you had the mumps or you had measles, those antibodies are passed on to the baby, the infant. So it helps strengthen the immune system. So that is an added benefit of having to breastfeed. In addition to that, it also helps with the brain so that the cognition of the brain lasts up to 15 years old. So when you breastfeed a child, it helps them to be more, much better academically. And I proved that with my son because he started college at 16 rather than 18 like most children would. So I definitely can see that the benefits of breastfeeding.
So basically, healthy mommy, healthy baby.
Healthy mommy, healthy baby, yes. Healthy lifestyle.
Healthy lifestyle. Okay. Okay. Now,
Go ahead.
okay. Now, in terms of diabetes, right? Some people warn against lots of carbohydrates.
Mhm.
Lots of carbohydrates, right? I know you can still use some, but obviously to a certain limit, right?
Mhm.
What are your thoughts?
I always say that carbs are not the enemy. Most
Okay.
times, persons. No, the thing about it is that diabetes is about carbohydrates for sure. But the type of carbohydrates that you consume is really important. So how we like to teach my clients, I usually say to them, you want to consume more cruise ship foods than speedboat foods.
Cruise ship foods than
Cruise
speedboat.
ship. Right.
So
So for instance,
simple carbs and complex carbs.
there
That's
you
correct.
go. There
All
you
right.
go.
Okay.
So, for instance, if it is that you are consuming a meal, you want to avoid, and you are a diabetic, you want to avoid those simple carbohydrates because what is happening is that the blood sugars will go into the bloodstream at a faster rate. And that is something that you want to pay attention to. You want foods to go into your bodies at a much slower rate. Hence, the reason you want to select and choose your complex carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are not the enemy, it's just the type of carbohydrates that you consume.
The type of carbohydrates in which
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
consume. Right. And I know that Dr. Hines and Dr. Wickham can corroborate, obviously, everything that you are saying. Now, okay, the type of foods you should be
Mhm.
consuming as a diabetic. What are the
Right.
type of foods you should be consuming?
Right. So you want to choose foods that are high in fiber. So let's start with if you were to think about your carbohydrates, you want to get more whole foods. So whole grains, foods in its natural state, like green banana, green plantain, you want cassava, you want your ground foods. Those are the ones that's really high in complex carbohydrates. And then when you comes to putting your vegetables, you want to have your leafy greens. And I find that a lot of persons do not eat enough vegetables. And we need to make sure that we're getting a good balance from our vegetables. And then if you were to think about fruits now, right beneath the skin of the fruit is where the fiber is at. So we tend to peel our fruits. Or if it is that we are cooking, let's say for instance, you're cooking pumpkin, you want to peel it. No, you should not peel it. You need to keep the skin on. And then the legumes, the peas and beans, they're also power packed with complex carbohydrates and with fiber, and they have no cholesterol. So that's going to be added benefits as well right there. So that is the type of foods that you want to select more when you're planning your meals for someone who's a diabetic, and then limit your lean meats, limit your fats.
All right. Ms. Salmon, well, we have Dr. Wickham and Dr. Hines here. And we heard Dr. Hines spoke earlier about the need to having, he would have been glad to have a nutritionist at the clinic on a daily basis to deal with their patients. So both of you, I would like to hear how easy or what challenges do you find with your patients in getting them to stick to a proper diet?
Well, I think it's important to first let them understand the etiology of diabetes, what diabetes is all about, and how foods respond to the body when you eat. Let's say, for instance, when you have a soda, or if you were to have a bowl of oatmeal. Letting clients know that you don't just want to eat one food group, but you want to have a balance so that you're having a complete meal, because it's really essential for us to have a complete meal so we're getting our macronutrients as well as our micronutrients.
You can jump in.
Yes, we often will have to, in our office, work through these with clients. We often had to do this at the polyclinic as well when it was there, mainly because we didn't, as Dr. Hines said, have the services of a dietitian, to spend that time with the clients working through those issues with them. One of the challenges that was the case when it was in the polyclinic and remains now, and you will hear this regularly, is the cost of the healthier foods. I definitely concur with all this Selman mentioned regarding the types of carbohydrates and so on that we advise, and we try to work through with clients about show them. I draw graphs and show them how simple carbs, will cause the blood sugar to spike, complex carb better over time, etc. And we try to work through it with patients based on what they can afford, and also try to show them that sometimes persons can afford healthier food than they think, from the standpoint that you may not have as wide a range as we want ideally, but you work with the person's budget and say, well, look, okay, if I have this amount to spend, well, perhaps you could consider this, perhaps you can consider that, where you're still trying to get as all of the food groups as much as is possible. Unfortunately, sometimes persons will still land back at this statement: bread is cheap in Barbados. So I find in Barbados we use a lot of bread, a lot of flour. I mean, all of the bakeries in the last 2-3 weeks over the Christmas season, I mean, you should see the lines outside of the bakeries. But persons will say, oh, it's because it's cheap. So they will tell you that they know about the complex carbs, and they know about the non-leafy vegetables, the beets, the carrots. They know about all of that stuff, but they have to go with what they can afford. And that, I cannot underestimate how significant that has been. I mean, I had someone in the office told me, within the last 2-3 weeks, he had to decide between paying a bill and affording non-starchy vegetables. He had to make that decision. Got to pay the bill, but then you need to eat. So you end up eating something that's not ideal. A lot of refined processed foods.
As Dr. Hines,
I-
you find sorry, Esther. Just asking, obviously, Dr. Hines, a question regarding do
No
you
problem.
have to hold your clients, or feel like holding your clients with the scruff of their neck and say, look, don't eat this?
Well, you see, it has to do with culture and education, because I find that persons who are sort of not innovative, but they have learned how to prepare a lot of special foods, and they are very into vegetables. You get them prepare a meal, they prepare, and it's a little expensive because a lot of people prepare vegetables with olive oil. Olive oil is not cheap, right? But you find that you go to certain person's home, they prepare a lot of special foods because they have learned how to prepare them, and it's not that expensive. But you find that a lot of patients, they don't have that education, but that skill, okay? And it's a challenge, okay? But if you have that skill, you learn how to just prepare these foods, and they're very healthy. You can have let's say pumpkin, right? I've seen people prepare a lot of special dishes with pumpkin. The average person don't. They say pumpkin, they make conkeys. That's it. And with something like okra, I've seen people prepare okra in a lot of special ways. And you used to have the debate between callaloo and cuckoo. I'm sorry to say callaloo takes the cake. Callaloo definitely wins. And when you get someone prepared callaloo properly and tasty, it's enjoyable to eat. You know what I mean? And it's much more healthier than cuckoo. Cuckoo is a carbohydrate, you know, and it's not one of the complex carbohydrates. Um,
Miss
Esther
Selman.
that spoke about.
Yeah.
You know, you always see you must have complex carbohydrates. You know, and although it's all national dish is not the healthiest.
Yeah.
Okay, and I will go. You have to re-educate and learn people how to prepare these special dishes
Yeah.
because it works out in the long run. Okay, works out.
So, Ms. Salman, then, on that note, this is where you come in. How would you handle that challenge in terms of getting people to think about healthy nutrition, especially in the start of the new year, and affordable ways in which you can maintain a healthy diet?
I'm glad you asked that question because I was here just reviewing my practice. Now, when a client comes to me, I would plan a meal, I do my nutrition assessment, and at follow up, I take them to a supermarket tour. So I take my clients to the supermarket and I show them how they can still eat healthy but cost effective. So that is, it is possible to eat healthy on a budget. So that is one benefit. The other thing is cooking. I also incorporate into my practice cooking demonstrations. So I show my clients how they can prepare healthy meals that are, again, tasty and cost effective. And they cannot believe it. So, and I prepare it right there in front of their eyes. So they get to see. So it is possible that you can have a good quality of life. It is possible that you can be cost effective and still maintain your blood sugars control and or whatever health your health concern will be or what your health goals would be. It is possible.
Well, Ms. Selman, I'm going to ask a big question here now, and I think a lot of the viewers as well would want to ask you the same question in terms of alcohol, drinking alcohol. Uh, some people say that
Juice?
yes,
Juice.
yes, juice, one glass of wine a night. You can go along with that. You can live healthy with one glass of wine a night. Some people would say that. What are your views? What are your thoughts?
Okay, I'm going to answer your question this way. Now, remember, I would have mentioned about macronutrients. I remember I would have mentioned about cruise ship foods and speedboat foods. So 1 gram of carbohydrate is 4 calories. 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. 1 gram of alcohol is 7 calories. Now, if it is that we're looking at diabetes and we want to limit the amount of sugars that go into your bloodstream at a faster rate, alcohol will be one of those foods that you will want to be able to manage much better with consultation with the dietitian so that you can know how to, um, you know, balance the intake. The other thing as it relates to having good blood sugar control, yes, you may, the data is up there that speaks to how many ounces or a daily drink, but you have to pay attention to the fact that that is also going to can cause your blood sugars to go up high. In addition to that, we are looking at obesity and being overweight. And I would have shared with you the statistics and the data with Barbados of how the high rate of obesity and overweight is in our country. So it is like what you want best out of your life. Do you want to have either use your alcohol and have high blood sugar, have overweight, obesity, premature death later on, disability? Do you want that type of life, or do you want a life where you're going to still be able to get up, you're going to be able to look after your children, look after your family members, your grandchildren? Which quality of life do you want? So I think that if you think about it that way, you will know the best choice that you would want to make.
Yes, we actually have a comment here from one of our viewers. She said she thinks that we need to take a more proactive approach to health by implementing preventative health, meaning mandate that children has an annual have an annual checkup. Now, we have obviously a guest here, Mr. Bob. He deals with the youth. Um, in your obviously in your teaching and so forth, in your experience,
Physical
you are physical education, of course. You're seeing a lot of obesity.
Yes.
You are? Yes.
Very concerning at this point in time.
Yes.
And that's because of the sedentary lifestyle that we have, that we're seeing, and children not playing as much. They spend much more time on the telephones and tablets.
Yes.
So we are encouraging the use of technology, but we are also creating a situation in terms of movement and health. And I'm saying that what VHOIC says in terms of checkups, we may have reached that stage so that we're not dealing with a situation where we could have prevented it. That unhealthy practice at an earlier stage, and it spins off into our adult life.
There's still people around the school that come around selling the corn curls and tomato balls and stuff like that.
That means that I have seen a reduction in
A reduction.
yes, since the quote unquote the healthy
National
promotion
School
of
Nutrition Program.
yes. But what has happened though, because you say you want to have a healthy program, eating program, which is promoted by the canteens. But if they go there and the food at this point is them expensive, then that cost then becomes that for the children and the parents to bear. What you're seeing though, that they're holding their money on evenings, what they can afford, and when they see the pizza man and those little things that they have, they're spending more money outside of school than at the canteen. And that is the problem. So I'm saying that we're saying showing concerns about our health of our nation, but we have to provide the atmosphere that food is affordable for adults and children within school. But we still got the money that we're giving our children is not going to increase, but the cost of food is going to increase.
Definitely.
Yes, I think that Miss Selman wants to say something.
Definitely.
Yeah, I just want to, can I speak? Is it okay?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. I just want to mention about backyard gardening. And one, you're increasing physical activity. When you are going outside, it can be a family event, so you're bonding with your children. And in addition to that, we're also going to be having items that you can read, which will help in decreasing your cost to your budget as well. So that's another aspect of incorporating healthy lifestyle, healthy eating, and also cost effective to your budget.
I was told that you have a promotion and that you would like to share a challenge
Yes.
with viewers. Yes, please.
Yes,
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes. On Sunday, January 12th, I will be doing a 7-day water wellness challenge. And I will be actually every week, I'm going to be doing a different challenge. So I'm going to be doing that straight for the next 4 weeks. But this week, the first launch of that program will be a 7-day water wellness challenge. You have to participate. It's going every day. I will be sending you emails for those persons who register. It's a free program, but we need to register so that I can send you the information so that you can have lots of activities. It's going to be very exciting. I mean, I have put my all into that. My team and we are working diligently to ensure that we have a healthy Barbados in 2025.
Okay, so all it takes to be a part of this challenge, we have the poster, the QR code, so we need to hydrate. But what exactly will we have to do for the challenge?
So every day, but first of all, you register. When you register, you will get an email with the different activities that you need to participate, that you will be engaging in. So every day is an activity that is going to help you towards hydrating to elevate. It's very simple, no stress, but effective.
I'm one of those people that don't like things popping up at me once, and so you want to give us a little heads up to see if I would really get on this water challenge and I can keep up with it. I like to know ahead.
You like to know ahead? You don't like suspense?
I don't like surprises.
Well, just to give you, you see, I want to keep the suspense there as well. But just to give you a sneak peek, we're going to be having things that I'm going to be challenging you. So each individual will be challenged. When you do the registration, there are certain questions in there that speaks to the amount of water that you normally would take in a day. I'm going to be teaching you how to calculate your daily water intake. That's going to be in day one. How to
That sounds
calculate
easy.
daily water intake, because a lot of times we drink water and we don't realize that we can actually sometimes overhydrate. So we can drink too much water and then your electrolytes, you have issues. So you don't really want that. So I'm going to be teaching you how you can calculate your daily water intake. And then we're going to be there are some persons who do not like to drink water. So I'll be showing you how you can drink your water, how you can make your water flavorful. So it's going to be different activities like that. So
Well,
I'm looking forward to having you join us.
Yeah, but
Yes, so I will definitely take up the challenge, and I would encourage all of our viewers to take up the challenge as well. The poster is there on the screen.
Just
If
give
you
me the
can,
code.
you should be able to scan the QR code on the poster, but we can probably put it in the chat. I don't know if that will be possible, that persons can download it from the chat and scan the QR code. And I would encourage persons, this is the start of a new year, and to take on a healthy challenge and get involved. And you said that every week there will be something else that you'll be
Every week a different challenge, and every day you're going to be getting an email to help support you and different activities for that 7-day challenge. So each challenge is going to be, you're receiving an email daily. When that challenge is finished on the 18th, then we're going to start another challenge.
Just to be sure, though, because again, I said I don't like surprises, but none of these challenges would involve 100 push-ups.
I don't think so. No.
All right, well, then I will be on board with your challenge.
You will have to check with your PE teacher. Your PE teacher will do the push-ups.
Okay, then.
we talk about, I'm glad we're on the topic of water. How much water should we drink?
That is the reason why you have to do the challenge.
All right.
Yes, I think
You do the challenge.
based on your research and what is recommended.
Okay, right. So so it depends on the certain things. Like for instance, let's assume normally you always hear 8 to 10 glasses of water in a day. But you have a guy who's working in construction. He is going to be perspiring, so he's losing electrolytes. Therefore, he's going to be also need to hydrate himself. So then his daily water intake may be 10 to 12 glasses. Now, you may have some persons who maybe have a health condition, and that's one of the questions that I asked. Do you have a medical condition that may prevent you from drinking water? For instance, some person who may be on dialysis, some person with congestive heart failure. Those are persons who need to watch and limit their fluid intake. So, and that's the reason why it has to be personalized, so it will be personalized still, even though it's sort of a group effort, because we still want to make sure that persons stay within whatever medical condition that is going on, that they still stay within the requirements that is needed by their physician.
Okay, I don't want to put you on the spot, Esther, but you're facing
easy.
Huh?
Easy.
Okay. There's a cultural change in our society. Now, I used to fly kites as a little boy. As well as anybody my age. We fly a kite. And flying a kite involves a lot of physical activity, When they pop, they go run behind it, your teeth in kites, all types of stuff, And you pitch marbles. And pitching marbles, you got to move around a lot. Actually, at 9 in the summer or any vacation at 9 o'clock in the morning, you get to go outside. And go outside involve a lot of physical activity. You play
Mm-hmm.
catcher, all types of things.
Yeah.
Children nowadays they do not go outside. They don't pitch marbles, they don't fly kite, they don't do none of those things. They play on their devices, and that is a cause, that's one of the causes of the obesity. So what is your plan? You understand? You have to have a plan. Well, I'm not you have to, but I think there should be a plan to combat that. And what is your plan? What are the things that we should be doing?
Well, so if you're talking about physical activity, I actually wrote down on when some person was speaking earlier, I think it was a PE teacher, and I wrote down hopscotch and I wrote down skipping, because these are activities that our children do not really engage in. I grew up on that too. So I grew up playing hopscotch, skipping, Mora, all of those Chinese kids. Actually, when I actually got my hand dislocated when I was running to the waist length of playing Chinese skip. And I fell down and had a blackout. My shoulder got dislocated. So I'm saying we have to be able to find innovative ways on how to get our children back out. Like, for instance, I don't have any little kids anymore. I have grandchildren now. But my grandson, I get him when I travel or, shopping or anything like that, I get him games that he can be more active in. So for instance, frisbee is another game that you can get the kids a frisbee. So we can get our kids, our children, activities and games that will engage in movement. I have another little boy who comes by my house, and he has some marbles the other day. So I was showing them how we can pitch, how you can use your marbles. So these are things that we need to go back to the basics of different types of activities that we can engage in. And I'm sure that the PE teacher can incorporate those in school. Skipping, you can do a competition with skipping to see who can skip the longest. How you wanna take that challenge with me?
Of course.
I can skip.
Of course, I can still do it at this age.
I think Dr. Wickham wanted to make a point.
Yes, definitely. On the point, the challenges we are faced with children, I like to remind persons, I'm a parent myself, I have two lovely children. Children do not born themselves. Neither do they raise themselves. This comes to how we parent. And I would remind us all as parents that our children's health will impact their adult life. We tend not to think about it, but definitely the school nutrition policy and hearing that the team behind that, this is one of the things they're emphasizing, that childhood health impacts adult health. So a child, for example, who is significantly overweight, obese, is going to have more health challenges as an adult. So, I would remind parents that, how you raise your child, the things you let them eat, the activities you encourage or fail to encourage them to be involved in will impact issues they may have with obesity as adults, diabetes, etc. Sometimes the device is given to the child to babysit them, to keep them quiet. One of the things I did with my children, I insist they had to go outside, because like you, Robert, I grew up outside running about and playing. They do a lot of studying, they definitely do, but at a certain point I was, all right, put on the books, get outside and run out. Don't hurt yourself, don't kill yourself over there, but literally get outside and run out. Do something outside. Also, you're very careful not to appear as if you're telling people how to raise your children. You're just making some gentle suggestions. But the device, I think the earlier you establish good rules and boundaries regarding how devices are used. So we're not talking about waiting until a child is an addict 3 and 4 years in. We're talking about from their very first exposure to devices, because technology is wonderful servant, I tell persons, but these devices can be terrible masters. But wonderful servants, fantastic in terms of what they can do. But I suggested to parents, from very early on, establish reasonable boundaries. But they need that physical activity, and that is something that has to come from parents, not leaving it for the child to decide. But at the same time, you can't wait, like I said, until a child is 4 years into a serious addiction, then to try to implement, physical activity. So from very early on, establishing boundaries, but getting outside, getting involved in some kind of physical activity. Hopefully they can find one that they like, because you're not going to be able to deal with the chronic lifestyle, chronic non-communicable diseases with just diet alone.
True.
Physical activity has to be a part of it, and safe physical activity.
Now, you mentioned physical activity, right? Obviously, in terms of parenting and physical activity, the role the parents play. You've had any situations where a parent told you, "Look, not my child."
Yes.
They may both that
So
life.
even faced with situations where
Mhm.
we have excuses being written by parents that they should not be playing at this point in time. So it's about education for the parent as well as the child. I speak to them, we talk to them, I explain how important it is. So therefore, yes, we are faced with it, but we are teachers. We have to guide them, and when we have a situation, we have to call in that parent to say to them, look, you're doing a disservice, and this is very important for the child's development.
That's very correct. That's very correct. Now, another question I would ask, in terms of coffee. Some people ask questions about coffee. Is it safe to drink? Can you go ahead, even if with a little, heart condition? Can you drink coffee? That's the question I will ask.
That is for me.
Yes, yes. And then we're gonna pass it on, obviously, to the doctors as well.
But just remember that coffee contains the caffeine and it can accelerate your heart rate. If it is that you have, and there is data out there that speaks for, which is the pro, and also the cons for coffee. So you have to look at medication. Some persons on certain medication that they're on, so you may need to avoid it. You may have a health condition that you may need to avoid it. So it all depends. I know that for some other persons, it's a quick boost of energy. But if you want a quick boost of energy, just eat watermelon.
Stop
And Dr. Wickham?
So as Esther said, there's data out there for and against. It's individual decisions, not for everyone. There are persons for whom it doesn't appear to bother them, but definitely there are persons with a number of medical conditions where coffee can be a problem. Remember, the issue though isn't just coffee as much as it is the caffeine content. And we have to then look at a number of other products that persons use that contain significant amounts of caffeine. There's a lot of energy drink usage that takes place, that occurs. There are certain pain relief medications that part of what helps them to work better is caffeine. So it's not for everyone, because there are issues both with usage in terms of effects and mal effects that you can get, and there are even issues with caffeine withdrawal. Some persons, for example, will get terrible headaches when they try to come off caffeine that they've been on for some time. At the same time, the others will tell you that caffeine works for them. So individual decision, but definitely there are significant health issues that can occur, particularly those who suffer from heart rhythm problems. That is, their heart doesn't beat properly the way it should, the steady book. They have irregular heartbeat, particularly on the faster kind. You use too much caffeine, that can be a significant problem.
And Dr. Hines,
Yes, sir.
I think someone would have made a comment about energy drinks.
Well, yes.
I mean, those having caffeine as well.
It's healthy for a lot of energy drinks, And as I said before, Dr. Beckham emphasized that there are pros and there are cons. Okay, and the thing is a beta adrenaline agonist, right? So what it does to the heart, it accelerates the heart. And what it does to the lungs, it dilates the bronchioles, right? So there's one use of it, which I think that everyone should keep coffee at home if you have an asthmatic in the house. Okay, because that if you can't find your inhaler, the only thing that I know in the house that will dilate the bronchioles and get lungs open is coffee. Okay, so a good dose of coffee on the way to the hospital is a good remedy to at least get the bronchioles open and get air in. Because the problem with asthmatics is that the bronchioles shut off and they can't get out air and they can't get it in. Okay, they usually the ventilating the rescue inhaler, they take 2 puffs and that sort of dilates the bronchioles. But coffee can have the same effect, you know. So it is a lifesaver in some cases, but drinking it every day is up to the person. If you have a heart condition, avoid it.
I just want you to tell the viewers there how dangerous it is to mix energy drinks with alcohol.
Well, yes, because alcohol is a sedative,
Yeah.
and the energy drinks is what you call it,
Stimulant.
stimulant. Okay, so you're mixing a
Upper and
sedative with a stimulant, and and it's not a good combination, right? Especially on the heart, because you're stimulating the heart, okay, and reducing the ability to make good decisions and stuff. You know what I mean? And you're not doing yourself a favor by consuming both at the same time. But I can't remember the names, or I should have called the names. But all these energy drinks that they have, people mix it with alcohol,
Mhm.
and it's not a good thing to do.
The combination can also cause significant rise in your blood pressure, for sure, because strong alcohol can do that, the energy drinks can do that. And a point to be made about most energy drinks is they contain large amounts of simple sugars, high glycemic index, so they're going to spike your blood sugar level, bad for diabetes, and even for persons who aren't diabetic, frequent use of them can increase the likelihood that they become diabetic sooner as opposed to later, because they'll be constantly putting their pancreas under strain to deal with those sugar spikes from the simple sugars that the energy drinks contain. I noticed some now contain artificial sweeteners where they have reduced the sugar, artificial sweeteners, but artificial sweeteners are quite controversial. Yeah.
Esther, I'm gonna give you your final comments and conclusion at this time.
Well, I just really want everybody to understand that healthy eating is not a chore. It is not expensive. You can live a good quality of life just making healthier choices. And if it is that you are unsure what you need to put in your pantry or to put in your shopping cart, you can always check with a dietitian who can guide you into healthier, making better choices.
All right, and so I want to thank you for coming on to the show tonight, and you can look out for my registration for the challenge, and I hope that you have inspired other persons to actually take on the challenge as well. So join me in taking on this Hydrate to Elevate challenge this week, and then we will look out to see what is coming in the following week. So thank you very much.
One person already started the registration process.
All righty then. So that is good. And I will definitely be joining the challenge as well. And we also look forward to having you back because you shared a lot of interesting information, just touching the tip of the iceberg with regard to nutrition. So we definitely want to have you back again.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you.
Nice meeting y'all.